A lot of people think their income is growing, but in reality, only their expenses are becoming more expensive. The strange part is, it doesn't feel irresponsible while it's happening. You get a raise, you move into a slightly better apartment, you upgrade your car because now you can afford it. You start ordering food more often because work is stressful. You travel once or twice a year because everyone around you seems to be doing the same thing. And slowly, without realizing it, your entire financial life begins depending on a salary that still isn't building real wealth, because earning more money and building wealth are not the same thing. And for millions of middle-class people across the United States and Europe, that confusion quietly becomes a lifelong financial trap. Imagine a 29-year-old professional living in Chicago. He works in tech support, makes around $78,000 a year before taxes. On paper, that sounds respectable. But after federal taxes, state taxes, healthcare deductions, retirement contributions, and Social Security, his monthly take-home pay becomes roughly $4,700. Now watch where it goes. Rent for a one-bedroom apartment, $1,850. Car payment, $540. Insurance, $210. Student loan repayment, $390. Groceries and food delivery, around $650. Phone bill, subscriptions, internet, utilities, another $300. Minimum credit card payments, $250. A few dinners out. Weekend spending, clothes every month or two. Streaming platforms, a gym membership he barely uses. By the end of the month, there's maybe $300 left, sometimes less. And this is someone with a decent salary, not reckless, not irresponsible, not financially illiterate, just normal. That's what makes this system so difficult to notice. Most people don't feel like they're overspending because their spending matches their social environment. Everyone around them has similar cars, similar apartments, similar phones, similar vacations, so nothing feels excessive. But financially, something dangerous is happening underneath the surface. Their income is increasing, but their ownership is not. They don't own meaningful assets. They don't control their time. They don't have enough invested capital producing income. What they actually built is a more expensive monthly survival system. And modern society quietly encourages this at every level. In Europe, the pattern looks slightly different, but the outcome is often the same. A young professional in London may avoid large medical expenses compared to Americans, but housing costs consume an enormous percentage of income. Someone earning £55,000 a year can still feel financially stuck after rent, transportation, taxes, and daily living costs. In cities like Paris, Amsterdam, Dublin, or Berlin, many young workers experience the same thing. Higher income creates temporary comfort, but not long-term financial independence, because lifestyle inflation grows almost automatically. The moment income rises, expectations rise with it. Not because people are greedy, because humans adapt incredibly fast. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation. The human brain quickly normalizes improvements in comfort. The new apartment feels exciting for 2 months. The upgraded car feels special for 6 weeks. The higher salary feels life-changing until the next comparison appears. Then the brain resets, and once something becomes your normal, downgrading feels emotionally painful, even if it makes financial sense. That's why many people earning 6 figures still feel financially anxious. Their fixed monthly obligations expanded alongside their income. So, despite earning more, they never actually created financial breathing room. And this is where the math becomes uncomfortable. Let's say someone receives a $15,000 salary increase. Sounds significant. But after taxes, maybe they actually keep around $9,000 of it annually. That's roughly $750 extra per month. And now imagine they upgrade apartments and their rent increases by $600 monthly. Financially, the raise is gone immediately, but emotionally, it feels like progress. because the lifestyle improved. This is one of the most expensive illusions in middle-class finance. People measure success by visible upgrades instead of invisible ownership. A better apartment is visible. A larger investment account is invisible. A newer car gets social validation. An index fund portfolio does not. And because humans are social creatures, we naturally drift toward choices that feel rewarded by our environment. Even financially disciplined people are affected by this. Credit systems make the situation even more deceptive because modern financing hides the true price of lifestyle upgrades. Very few people ask, how much does this car actually cost me? They ask, what's the monthly payment? That psychological shift changes everything. A $48,000 car sounds expensive, but $620 per month sounds manageable. And once something becomes manageable, people stop evaluating its long-term impact. Now, imagine that same $620 invested monthly into broad market index funds for 25 years. At an average annual return of 8%, that money could grow into roughly $590,000. FV equals 620 times 0.08 over 12, open parenthesis, 1 plus 0.08 over 12, close parenthesis, 12 times 25 minus 1. Not because of financial genius, just because money was directed toward ownership instead of consumption. This is what financially intelligent people understand differently. Every recurring expense competes against future ownership. Not every purchase is bad, not every comfort is irresponsible, but repeated high-cost consumption silently delays financial freedom by years, sometimes decades. And the difficult part is that society rarely frames it this way, because economically, consumer spending keeps the system moving. Housing markets benefit when people stretch budgets. Car companies benefit when buyers focus on monthly payments. Banks profit when consumers carry debt balances. Luxury branding thrives by convincing ordinary people that expensive lifestyles represent personal progress. So, people slowly begin associating adulthood with permanent financial pressure. A larger paycheck arrives and disappears instantly into upgraded obligations. Then, stress increases. Ironically, higher income often creates more anxiety instead of less, because now the lifestyle itself becomes expensive to maintain. The person earning $45,000 with modest expenses may actually have more financial flexibility than someone earning $110,000 while trapped under oversized fixed costs. Income matters, but expense structure matters just as much. And none of this means people should avoid enjoying life. That's not the point. Financial intelligence is not extreme frugality. It's understanding the difference between temporary comfort and permanent progress. There's a major difference between I can technically afford this and this decision strengthens my long-term position. We rarely think that way because modern culture trains people to optimize appearance first. Visible success, immediate comfort, short-term upgrades. But wealth behaves differently. Real wealth is often quiet in the beginning. It looks boring, consistent investing, controlled lifestyle expansion, lower fixed expenses, patience that lasts years instead of months. And socially, that behavior can feel strange because it lacks visible rewards early on. A person driving an older car while investing heavily may look less successful than someone financing a luxury SUV, but financially, their futures may be moving in completely opposite directions. There's also another psychological layer most people underestimate. Lifestyle upgrades don't only increase spending, they increase identity attachment. Once someone becomes emotionally attached to a certain standard of living, maintaining it becomes psychologically necessary. That's why many professionals feel trapped in jobs they no longer enjoy. Their lifestyle now requires the income, the expensive apartment, the financed car, the private school, the constant subscriptions, the social expectations. All of it creates dependency on continued high earnings. So, instead of money creating freedom, income becomes maintenance fuel for an increasingly expensive life structure. And over time, that pressure quietly shapes major life decisions. People delay career changes, delay starting businesses, delay taking risks, delay rest, not because they lack ambition, because their monthly obligations removed flexibility. Financial pressure rarely arrives dramatically. Usually, it arrives quietly through accumulated upgrades that once seemed harmless. Now, compare this with how financially intelligent people often think. Not richer people, not ultra-wealthy investors, just financially aware individuals. When their income rises, they don't immediately ask, "What can I upgrade?" They first ask, "What can this extra income buy me permanently?" More ownership, more investing capacity, more flexibility, more future time. They understand that every raise contains a decision. You can either permanently increase your lifestyle costs or permanently increase your future financial freedom. Most people unconsciously choose the first option because it feels rewarding immediately. The second option feels slower, less exciting, almost invisible at first. But over long periods of time, the difference becomes enormous. Two people can earn similar salaries for 20 years and end up living completely different realities by their 40s. One owns appreciating assets, the other owns upgraded memories financed through recurring payments. And this doesn't mean avoiding all enjoyment until retirement. That mindset usually fails too. Extreme restriction often creates burnout and emotional overspending later. The goal is awareness, to recognize when spending improves life meaningfully and when it simply keeps pace with social pressure. Because many lifestyle upgrades don't actually improve long-term happiness proportionally to their cost. People adapt, always. The expensive apartment eventually becomes normal. The luxury car eventually becomes transportation. The premium lifestyle eventually becomes baseline. But the financial commitments remain, month after month, year after year. And by the time many people realize this, they're already deeply locked into a lifestyle that consumes nearly everything they earn. The uncomfortable truth is that middle-class financial struggle today often isn't caused by laziness. In many cases, people are working harder than ever. The problem is that modern economies make consumption feel like achievement. And when everyone around you participates in the same pattern, it becomes difficult to question it. But wealth is usually built quietly, not through dramatic moves, not through constant upgrading, not through appearing successful, but through maintaining enough distance between income and lifestyle that ownership has time to grow. That process feels slow while it's happening, sometimes painfully slow. But mathematically, time rewards ownership far more than appearances, and eventually, the compounding becomes visible, not only financially, but psychologically, because the real purpose of wealth was never status. It was optionality, the ability to make decisions without constant financial fear controlling them. And ironically, many people spend their highest earning years accidentally moving further away from that freedom while believing they're moving closer to it. So the real question isn't whether your lifestyle looks successful. The real question is whether your financial structure is quietly building ownership or simply becoming more expensive to maintain. Because those are two completely different futures, and most people don't realize which one they're building until much later. If you found this perspective useful, you can subscribe for more calm, reality-based conversations about money and modern life.